Hello everyone and welcome back to Random Librarian here on YouTube. Today we are going to be talking about A House of Ghosts by W.C. Ryan. I did get this as an advanced reader copy, but it is available as of October 19th, so it's been out for a little less than a month. This book itself was shortlisted for the Irish Book Award. It is described as a classic, cozy, big house mystery haunted by the specters of World War I for readers of Agatha Christie and Simone St. James. Oh, okay, so not only is it shortlisted for the Irish Book Awards, it is a finalist for the NBA Irish Book Awards Crime Fiction Book of the Year. So that's a little bit more specific. But I think that is kind of the blurb as written by the publisher, and then we have the blurb that is actually describing the book. And it starts, Winter 1917. As the First World War enters its most brutal phase, back home in England, everyone is seeking answers to the darkness that has seeped into their lives. At Blackwater Abbey on an island off the Devon coast, armaments manufacturer Lord Highmount has arranged a spiritualist gathering to contact his two sons, both of whom died at the front. Among the guests, two have been secretly dispatched from the intelligence service. Kate Cartwright, a friend of the family who lost her beloved brother at the Somme, and who, in the realm of the spiritual, has her own special gift. And the mysterious Captain Donovan, recently returned from Europe. Top secret plans for weapons developed by Lord Highmount's company have turned up in Berlin, and there's reason to believe enemy spies will be in attendance. As the guests arrive, it becomes clear that each has something they would rather keep hidden. Then, when a storm descends, they find themselves trapped on the island. Soon, one of their number will die, for Blackwater Abbey is haunted in more ways than one. An unrelenting, gripping mystery packed with twists and turns, and a kindling of romance, A House of Ghosts is the perfect cold weather read. Currently, on Goodreads, it has a ranking of 3.69 stars off of 1,100 ratings and 283 reviews. Again, all of this in a little under a month. That is quite a lot. So, there are a bunch of reviews on here that I think are really helpful if you're trying to decide whether or not to read it. Many of them do have spoilers, so that is something to keep in mind. I think mainly what I saw is that a lot of people thought it was boring. Some people absolutely love W.C./William Ryan's writing style. There is quite a range of 2-star to 5-star reviews. I don't think I saw any 1-star reviews, but I do see someone who did not finish at page 100, which seems a little early if you ask me. I think I will read a couple of the lower star ratings and maybe 1 or 2 of the higher as well, and I'll edit, post this, and find which ones I like the best. Ova of Excuse My Readings rated it 2 stars. She got it through NetGalley, I believe, and she said, "This book had such a hype and a gorgeous cover, I literally jumped on it to read. Sadly, I didn't find it too enjoyable. The setting reminds me of And Then There Were None, however, there's no chilling atmosphere or anything to give creeps. Set in Blackwater Abbey, an island in Devon during the Great War, A House of Ghosts is a mystery more than a murder novel. The story is not very eventful. The characters gather together in the house. A few of them can see ghosts. Kate and Donovan work for Secret Service and have a mission. The owners of the house, Highmounts, are hoping to contact their missing sons during the war, presumed dead." They wrote that sentence in a weird way. I tried to make the best of it. Kate's parents are also aristocrats, and in the Abbey for the same aim. There is a traumatized soldier, Private Sims, and Dr. Reed. Also, the foreigners, Count Orlov, a Russian, and Madame Feda, a medium. This mix of characters starts interacting, but for a long time nothing really happens. The story drags. There are a few mysteries, but up until 70% of the book nothing really happens, and there are too many unknowns, making it hard to stick with the storyline. Some things happen after 70%, don't want to spoil, but it wasn't enough to impress, sadly, and the ending for me was a letdown, too obvious. I would categorize this as a cozy mystery rather than a scary/spooky read. Just because there are ghosts floating around doesn't make a story scary. Could have been shorter, also for me. The talks about weapons business of Lord Highmount was too repetitive. Oh, I did find a 1-star review. It's really short, so I'll add it. You have to work very hard to make a book that includes an eerie house on an island, a multitude of ghosts, people who can see said ghosts, a spy network, World War I, and a seance during a storm, dull and boring. And this book worked very hard to do just that.
Wow, that is very harsh.
Okay, so Christy rated it 4 stars, and she said, "This is one of those books where I'm glad I didn't read the reviews online on certain sites first, because there didn't seem to be a lot of love for it, and for me it wasn't as bad as I would have thought reading the reviews. It does have a good feel for, and then there were none to it, and the setup of the book. You can see the house and surrounding islands so well. It wasn't hard to picture it at all. I'm assuming she means a lot fewer people die, though, and it has a lot more ghosts. I quite liked the addition of ghosts pottering around the place, giving a bit of atmosphere, even if ultimately they didn't do much and they weren't overly scary. I enjoyed the book. I liked trying to guess who was doing the haunting and where all the red herrings went to. I liked the setting of World War I and the backstory of how some of the people arrived at the house, and I enjoyed the 2 main characters. Overall, not a bad book for a lazy Sunday afternoon of reading." Alright, I'm going to scroll back up to Susan, who rated it, again, 4 stars. She said, "This novel is a mix of ghost story mystery with a touch of espionage and even a little romance. It is 1917 and World War I has been going on for 3 long years. Almost every family in Britain has been touched by loss, and this includes Kate Cartwright, whose brother was recently killed. Kate is working as a code breaker when she is asked by Captain Sir Mansfield Smith-Cumming, known as C, the head of the Secret Intelligence Service, to take up the offer to visit Blackwater Abbey, home of Lord and Lady Highmount, or Blackwater Island, a remote island off the coast of Devon. She had initially refused the suggestion, even though her parents were visiting, as she was once engaged to Reginald Highmount, recently also killed in the war, along with his brother. The invitation had also included her fiancé, Rolston Miller-White, but this relationship has also broken down. As well as the awkward discomfort of her personal relationships, Kate is unwilling to attend the winter solstice at Blackwater Abbey, knowing that the purpose of the visit includes 2 guests involved with spiritualism. Although Kate herself can see spirits, she has no sympathy with seances. However, when told that some top-secret plans, all capitalized, have recently been taken from Lord Highmount, an arms manufacturer, and ended up in German hands, she knows she has no choice. Accompanying her and Rolston to the island is Captain Donovan, masquerading as Miller-White's man, but really there as all of the guests now on the island were also present when the plans were stolen. Donovan and Kate need to join forces to keep Lord Highmount safe and protect sensitive documents. All of the guests seem to have a motive for wishing Lord Highmount ill, many of which involve his production of weapons and the carnage wreaked by the war. The storm-tossed island, with his assorted cast of possible suspects, give a good sense of atmosphere. This is, in places, a little busy in terms of plot. There are secret passages, bad weather, an island cut off from outside help, and more than a touch of mystery at every turn, that is not mentioning the stream of spirits that seem to surround Kate. I liked Kate and Donovan, though, and hope they return in further adventures, as I feel they have more to offer. I received a copy of this book from the publisher via NetGalley for review." I think that's enough of that. If you want to see the rest of this, there are quite a few reviews, so those are just kind of some of the top, or not even the top ones, but the ones near the top of the review area. I think they do give a little bit of context, so just in case that helps. Does that help? Can you guys let me know if this format of reviewing actually makes sense, or if I should change it to be something other than what I'm doing? I think trigger warnings for this book obviously have to include war and kind of wartime problems. There is a lot of PTSD. There's a lot of claustrophobia, both in kind of flashbacks to the war when they were digging trenches and in the secret passageways. It's just kind of, you even get that feeling as the reader of oh, this is too small. So that, I think that's well done, but if that is something that messes with you, this is not likely to be the correct book for you. Other kind of aspects of World War I, like gas masks, and just era-typical violence that I think do need to be warned for before picking it up. I think I do recommend this book more for people who enjoy kind of crime or espionage than for those who like spooky ghost stories. It wasn't the greatest book that I've read this past year, but it was fun. I mean, I read it on the train on my way home, and it passed the time. Mute this now for like a spoilery free review. I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically to the story, so if you want to read it, turn my voice off. So, literally from go, it's a like pre-section of the book that is before chapter 1. The author shows someone, an unnamed someone, shrouded in mystery, being brought to the island to kind of like exert some form of revenge. So even before we get into the actual storyline, you know that the person causing problems during this reunion is a person and they're living, and also male. So there's really only like 2 options for who it could be. It's either Kate's brother or it's one of the Highmount's sons. And that is kind of annoying in the sense that it is a house of ghosts, and they could have played on that a little bit more and made it so that you're second guessing, like, is it a person? Is it a ghost? Like, who's causing these problems? Is it one of these, like, options that we have of people who are still living but who were reported dead? Or is it still those people but they're in ghostly form? I just think there was a missed opportunity there. You can unmute me now. I don't know if there's much more that I can say beyond what has already been said, both in these reviews and in that very spoilery minute that I just had there. Kate was delightful. She's a very interesting character. She has like these moments where she's a badass. She has these moments where she's in awkward situations that you can like very easily picture yourself in. She has great relationships that are both well written and either like you can see that they're dealing with grief in different ways, or, you know, other relationships that maybe we don't have all of the clues, but you know that there's something there. There's something behind the weirdness in that relationship. Yeah, she's a smart lady. She's a cool lady. And for some reason she speaks to ghosts. But, like, that wasn't actually part of the storyline. Not really anyways. Like, there were no jump scares. There was no way that propelled the story forward. It was just kind of like she was a spy with a spy that would likely become her love interest, which we see, it does progress in like a kind of believable way, especially if you consider that you're in war-torn England, and like they mentioned this a couple times, that the reason that she was with her fiance was because he was the last living man left in London, basically. Or because he was a living man in London, his social currency was much higher than it would have been otherwise, and that's why a smart, like, badass lady like Kate would give him a second glance, even though he's kind of a goof. So, there's that. There's also hints at spy shenanigans that I wish had been explored more. It almost seems like this is the setup for a second book, but I don't know if I want to read the second book because we barely got hints of what could be something great in this first book, if that makes sense. I definitely have a bit of a bias towards Irish stories, books set in Ireland, Irish writers, that whole kind of thing. And I thought it was a quick, enjoyable read, and I would like some people to discuss it with so that I can push myself to one side of the fence or other in terms of solidifying negative or positive ideas that I had about this book. But for now, I'm just gonna say that it is not on any, like, must-read list for me, and leave it at that. So those are my current thoughts on A House of Ghosts by W.C. Ryan. Have you read this book? Were you eyeballing it? Did I change your mind? or are you still planning on reading it? Had you even heard of it? Someone said there was so much hype about this book, but I literally had not heard of it. And I've never read anything by this author before. So I am, you know what, I'm just interested to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And yeah, I think that's pretty much what I have for you today. And I will be back with another book review soon. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, you can follow me here on YouTube by hitting the subscribe button down below. And I'm also on Instagram at randomlibrarians, where I typically post more like current ideas of like what I'm reading or what I am hoping to read or things that I've read long since. And daily tidbits and things like that. So either place is a great way to find me, and I hope that I will see you again soon. Until then, happy reading.